Welcome back everyone after a short break. Moving on to session 8 of day 4, it is my privilege to introduce our distinguished speaker, Dr. Ashutosh Yadav. Dr. Yadav is a PhD from Faculty of Management Studies, FMS, University of Delhi, with specialization in monetary policy and financial market. He also holds an MPhil in Commerce with distinction from the Delhi School of Economics. Currently, he is serving as an assistant professor at Hansraj College, University of Delhi, and is also a director of Mahatma Hansraj Malviya Mission Teaching Training Center. He has authored and co-authored several research papers in Scopus and Web of Science Index Journal, and has also contributed book chapter with CRC, Press, Taylor, and Francis. His expertise span financial market business analytics and AI-based application in management education. Today, he will share insights on use cases of AI in managerial education, a topic that reflects the growing role of artificial intelligence in transforming management learning and practice. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Ashutosh Yadav.
Thank you, Dr. Ankit ji, for such an illustrious introduction. I hope I'm perfectly audible. Sorry, I can't hear you. Am I audible perfectly fine?
Audible.
But my camera is not on, right?
Yes. So screen is visible, but
okay. Okay, just give me a moment, yeah?
Okay.
I'm trying to join from another device also. Can you please allow me to switch on my camera from the other device?
Sure, sir. So please you tell me device name.
Ashutosh.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, am I visible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So thank you and a very good evening to everyone. It's a pleasure to have to be in this important session on the role of AI in managerial education. And to begin with, we are living through a defining moment in the evolution of higher education where data, intelligence, and automation are not just buzzwords, they are powerful drivers of transformation. And AI is no longer the future, it is the present. Be it if you talk about personalized learning to predictive analytics, from curriculum design to faculty workload optimization, AI is reshaping the very fabric of how we as institutions are operating and how academic leaders are making their decisions. But the key question is, how do we as academic leaders harness this power meaningfully and responsibly? So let this session be a starting point for reflecting on how we can integrate AI tools, not just in classroom and back offices, but also in our leadership mindset. And the institutions of tomorrow will not just be led by those who fear technology, but by those who understand how to use it wisely, ethically, and creatively. So before we begin, I will just, before we begin into the different use cases of generative AI, let's have a brief discussion about the Maxwell's interactive model of research design. So this model is a framework that revolutionizes how we approach the research process. And if we talk about a traditional viewpoint, research design is often seen as a linear path with fixed point from start to finish. However, Maxwell's model challenges this notion by recognizing that research is a dynamic, it is a complex, and it is an iterative process. And at the heart of this model, there are three critical components: research questions, research methods, and interpretations. So rather than treating these elements as separate entities, Maxwell emphasizes their interconnectedness and the need for continual dialogue, the need for reflection throughout the research journey. Now, this model imagines research as a vibrant conversation, wherein we start with our research questions, which then guide our explorations and shape the methods that we choose to employ. But there's a twist. Yeah, as we delve deeper into our study, the new insights emerge, new data unfolds, and our perspectives shift. So Maxwell's model acknowledges this fluidity, and it kind of encourages us to adapt our research design accordingly. And it reminds us that research is not just a one-way street, it is a dynamic process of discovery and of growth. And we as academicians, we must be open to revisiting our questions, refining our methods, and reevaluating our interpretations as we kind of uncover new layers of understanding in our journey. So, moving on, yeah. So there are various, aspects of ICT that ICT and AI plays, kind of an integral role in the research area, be it identification of research topics, or helping out with the review of the available literature, Google Form, Qualtrics, which allows researchers to collect data efficiently from large and geographically diverse population. Then there are digital recording devices, audio and video recording devices that enables the captures of interview, focus groups, and observational data. Then there are also software which helps us transcribe these the findings of these interviews. Then there are statistical software that for quantitative analysis like SPSS, like R, Stata, eViews, and for qualitative analysis also we have softwares like NVivo, Atlas.ti is there, MaxQDA is there, which help in coding and analyzing the qualitative data. Data visualization tools like Tableau, Power BI, and Excel, which help researchers to create visual representation of data. For literature review, we have access to vast databases like PubMed is there, JSTOR is there, Google Scholar, academia.du is there, ResearchGate is there. So all these has helped kind of give access to the vast databases are there, besides the institutional repositories that we have in our respective universities. We also have reference management software like EndNote, Zotero, Mendeley, Scriber, uh, um, which helps in assist in organizing and citing the sources. We further have collaborative tools like there are platforms like Google Drive, Dropbox is there, OneDrive is there, which facilitates real-time collaboration and sharing of research documents. Unlike the previous times when you say, for example, multiple individuals are working on the same document. So rather than going back and forth, now I work on the document, then do my part and send it to you, then you do your part and send it back to me. Now we can simultaneously be working on the same document, and we will also be kind of updated as to what our peers are, which part or portion of the document our peer is working on. And the same thing goes for the Google Sheets also, for example. Yeah. Then there are communication tools like email is there, Slack is there, Microsoft Teams, Google Meets are there, Zoom, like we are now able to communicate with each other, interact. So all these platforms have enabled seamless communication among researchers. Yeah, and then again, publication and dissemination. We have online journals, we have online repositories, we have open access journal, which has increased the reach and accessibility of research by providing free access to the published articles. Okay, so now moving on, I'll be sharing my entire screen. Can you see my Chrome window?
Yes, sir.
No, I'm not getting the right to share the entire window.
Wait a minute.
Because I will be switching between the different screens. Ankit ji, can you please facilitate this?
Yes, sir.
I'm just able to share one particular screen, like I can share the PPT. Yeah, got it now, got it now. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
So before I begin, I mean, I'm sure this is not the first day of this FTP. I just want to kind of get a heads up as to how many of us know what ChatGPT can do, or how we just kind of use ChatGPT one way or the other, even for just a simple query. I just want to just type in yes in the chat box if you have ever used ChatGPT for anything, and just to know if there's somebody who has never used ChatGPT. I've got yes. Okay. Bhavna Chauhan madam is saying yes. Again, okay. Yes, yes. What about others? Okay. So everyone is saying yes. No. Okay. We've got one no. Okay. Okay. So majorly, I mean, from the responses that we've got, I can see that most of us are already aware what ChatGPT can do. Okay. Let's try to, and this might not be just the case. Obviously, some of you might have more to share with us. Then towards the end of the session, we will take some queries and some viewpoint sharing also. So yeah. So just a brief, just about what ChatGPT is. ChatGPT is basically a large language model. Uh, so let's say, for simplification's sake, let's say not all of us are from the technical background, right? So how is ChatGPT different from what Google does? Okay, let's understand this basic difference. So if there is any question, anything that we want to we want to ask a question, we want to search information or search, say for example, various sources, then we just type our query on Google. Now, what Google does is Google will take the keywords from from my query, and it will then kind of refer me to thousands of resources based on the importance of the keywords, yeah, on the relativeness of the keyword. That's what Google does, and then it leaves it for the user, the owners, to figure out what is important, what is relevant or not. I will have to personally go through the entire Google link, and then I will have to figure it out for myself whether it is relevant for me, whether it is answering my question or not. But yes, somewhat it will be related. That is what Google does. ChatGPT, on the contrary, what does it do? It goes one step, or any generative AI tool for that matter. These tools do differently? They go one step ahead. They will go through all those resources, all those links that Google is going to refer. They're going to go through that at the back end, and they are going to provide you with a customized answer. Okay, the underlying premise that remains for all of these tools, I'll just take a simple example. Presentation is not working, ma'am, because I will now be switching between the window. I'll just showcase. So I just wanted to, yeah, let's open ChatGPT. Okay, I hope my screen is visible. Yeah. Okay, I can see that from my other device also. Yes, perfectly fine. So I'm no more on the presentation. I've switched to ChatGPT. So just before we begin with the use cases, I just want to brief you about a few underlying premises, assumptions, we can say, or basic premise that works on it. So yeah, let me take an example. For example, I ask Excel sheet or any software, any analytical software, to calculate correlation between students who, say, consume a particular brand of fruity and who score, and their scores in the subject that I teach, say for example, statistics. Okay. Now we know there cannot be any kind of correlation, any kind of relationship between or associationship between the fruity brands they consume and their marks in business statistics. But the thing with data and these software is garbage in, garbage out. Okay. It is for us as statisticians, as researchers, as management consultants to make sense of that those results, sense of the data. The same thing goes with these generative AI tools or any other AI tool for that matter, that garbage in, garbage out, GIGO. The kind of output, the kind of response that I am going to get depends upon the kind of input that I'm going to give to this application or software. Okay. And this input that we give to ChatGPT is known as prompt. And that is why there's an emerging field, that there's a new emerged field which is known as prompt engineering. There are so many value add-on courses on prompt engineering. Okay, so it's just about the art of giving the right kind of prompt, and that is what the remaining session is going to be about: the art of giving the right kind of prompt, and how this chat gpt is more than just asking it to frame questions for us or for the students to kind of prepare their assignments from it. Okay, it's more than that, and let's see how we can navigate, how can we can leverage this to our advantage as academicians, as teachers of management, commerce, and economics. Okay, so yeah, I hope everyone is with me. Yeah. Okay, so let's take first example. Okay, let's take first example. Okay, so say I was teaching a management based paper, okay, to non-management students, non-commerce background students. Okay, say for BBA, LLB course, which was an integrated course. And now I wanted to teach my students the concept of efficiency versus effectiveness. Okay, now this is a very simple concept, and ideally a PowerPoint presentation and a delivery mode works for the lecture. But then I thought, why not make the lecture interesting? And since everybody is going hue and cry about chat gpt and these tools, why not ask chat gpt how I can make my lecture interesting? So I gave the simple prompt, whatever I'm telling to you, I just also wrote on the chat gpt's interface that I hope my screen is visible. Yes, there might be a certain lag. I want to teach the concept of efficiency. Please ignore my typing errors. Okay, chat gpt will definitely understand. I want to teach the concept of efficiency versus effectiveness to my non-management background students through an in-class activity which is engaging and and somewhat fun for the students. The entire class should be able to participate. Can you help me prepare my lecture around this activity? Let's see what ChatGPT does. Okay, this is the prompt that I've given. Okay. Okay. So as you can see, it has prepared an entire plan. Now, effectiveness and efficiency is not a new concept for me. Yeah, it's not a new concept that I need to understand in the new light or some new information that has flowed through. But I want to make it interesting for my students, for my Gen Z students who are always hooked to the screen, who are always have this heavy dosage of entertainment coming their way. So I also want my class to be somewhat interesting for them, so that they get their eyes off from the screen and they actually look at what the kind of participate, and it has got more kind of reinforcement on the minds. Okay, so I asked ChatGPT, and this is, you can see within just a few seconds, it has given me an entire lecture plan, as you can see on the screen, with a stepwise process of how and what time I have to give. Warm up 5 minutes, start with a simple relatable question, use your other answers to introduce the two terms, then the paper plane challenge. I asked ChatGPT to give me an example of an activity. And see, again, step one, set up, divide the class into small groups, give each group A4 sheets of papers, task instructions, tell half the group that their goal is to make as many paper planes as possible in 5 minutes, and tell the other half that their goal is to be effective, make planes that can fly the farthest. Okay, quality matters. And activity execution, let both the sets of groups work on their goals. After 5 minutes, count and debrief. So entire 45-minute lecture has been planned with just one single prompt. And that's how we can make our lectures interesting. I can further ask ChatGPT, can you also provide links of some YouTube videos that relate to these concepts and can be demonstrated in class. Short videos. Okay. Again, it has given me the links of these videos. Okay. And then again, it is also guiding me how to incorporate them into my lesson. I introduce the concept, then I play the first video. Okay. Then I ask the group to reflect. I ask the following questions, play the second video, ask connect all these two videos to the activity, that is the paper plane challenge, and reinforce the ideal scenario, that is to be both to strike a balance between efficiency and effectiveness, and how across different sectors both these concepts play differing roles as to the quantum of efficiency and effectiveness that different sectors might be managing through. So that's how we can, again, this is just one example. You can do anything, any example, any kind of activity, any kind of role play, screenplay that you can ask ChatGPT to suggest you to make your lecture more engaging, more participating for the students. So another example that I can think of is all of us are teaching somewhere. Some of us are teaching in public funded universities, public funded colleges, some are teaching in private institutions. But few of the many things that remain common is preparation of lesson plans or modular plans, right? And this is some activity that is time engaging. It usually takes 40 to 45 minutes of preparing one lesson plan for the paper. So in fact, even NAC kind of demands that every teacher should have a weekly modular plan before the semester begins and should be submitted to the IQAC of the college. So we used to get a lot of complaint from the teachers that it consumes a lot of time, and how do we go about it. Although there are standard formats that we as IQAC of our college we tried to make it kind of easier for the teachers, but then ChatGPT came, and so I thought, why not give ChatGPT a prompt? And okay, and it will at least give me some base to work on. So I again thought ChatGPT, let's give a prompt to ChatGPT. So again, underlying premise is garbage in, garbage out. The more clarity the more clarity you give to ChatGPT in your prompt, the more relevant your answer is going to be to your demands. So again, let's see how we can do this on ChatGPT, how we can create a modular plan with just 1 to 2 line prompt, and within few seconds. Okay, so you see the plus sign here. We can attach, if you will see, we can add photos and files. So let me attach the syllabus of the paper that I will be teaching. Okay, let's say, okay, so this is the paper that I was teaching in the last semester, business research methodology. Okay, and I have to teach it this semester also. So, okay, prepare a weekly modular plan. Okay, now this is one prompt that we can give. Okay, it will prepare the weekly plan, but there are so many flaws or so many aspects that we are missing out. Weekly modular plan starting from when, ending when, for which semester? Are there going to be semester breaks? Are there going to be any week offs? So the more clarity, again, garbage in, garbage out. So let's provide some more details to it. Prepare a weekly modular plan for the paper whose syllabus is attached. Okay, and let's also provide for the semester beginning from, say, August first week and ending December second week, with October third week as mid-sem break. Okay, now, for example, say I also want to specify the format, the number of columns that I want. I have a specific format in mind, and that's what I want to specify. Column 1 should be name, should be week number and month name. Column 2, the content to be covered. Column 3, let's say I also want suggested readings. Let's see what it says. Okay, I think it's not able to read the OCR file. Let's try from a different account. The file is uploaded. Let's see now what it does. Okay, so again, within just 2 seconds, now you can see we wanted it to have 3 columns. Week 1, August, the content that will be covered from the syllabus, the suggested reading, Cooper and Schneider, chapter 1 and 2, Uma Sikaran, chapter 1. And we can see that our modular plan is being made as we are speaking. Can you see the? No, you cannot. I think the screen needs to be shared again. Shared again. Can you see the plan? Yes. So this is what we wanted. We wanted first column to be week number and month, second column to be content to be covered, and third column of the suggested readings. You can see now. And also we specified that the October second week is going to be, third week is going to be, yeah, second week. Third week is going to be mid-semester break. So obviously there is no class and there's no content that would be covered. And it's smart enough to include a week on presentation, review, and wrap up. So everything has been covered here. Revision from old sources. Now suppose I don't like this, okay, and I want to say add another column. I want to add another column for weekly assignment. So again, within a second, it has updated the modular plan. You can see. And you can see the fourth column for weekly assignment and activity has been added. Still doing its work. And all of this can be copy pasted. You can just copy the table. You can open any Excel sheet. Okay. And then you can simply copy paste it there. Also, it will, yeah, it's definitely asking, do you like me to generate this as an editable Word or Excel or a PDF file? So you can simply ask, yes, Word file. It will generate it to you. So I'm not saying that this is going to give you the perfect modular plan that you would ideally be covering. There might be certain concepts that you would want to cover over 2 weeks, as suggested by ChatGPT would be just 1 week, but you will definitely have some base to work upon. It is going to save a lot of time. And again, there's nothing unethical about this. Okay, you are just using these generative AI tools as teaching aids. Yeah, so that's another example. But generating Word file, Excel file, or PDF file requires a bit more time as compared to other things. As you can see, it's still analyzing. Okay. So similarly, I'll just take a few example of for research also. Okay, if there's any query, no, there's just attendance being marked. Okay, let's move on. So I'll just again showcase you a few folders. Ankit ji, again, I'm not getting the prompt to share the entire screen. There are just windows. Can you please switch on that option?
Okay, sir.
So that when I'm switching between the windows, I'm able to do that without any lag.
So all permission are given to you.
Still, I'm just getting the option to just share the window. Anyway, let's do good with whatever we have. Okay, so let's move on to say I want to take help of ChatGPT in deciding, as there's been a recent trend with having fancy titles for the papers, which are more of a kind of a rhetoric questions. Yeah, so I'll just showcase you an example. Let me go back to this one. Okay, so I'll just open a research paper, but I will not be able to show multiple windows right now. But let's say, okay, so there's an abstract of the paper that I have, but again, the basic premise is garbage in, garbage out. So what are the components of an ideal abstract that it should have? I'll just copy it here. So this is the abstract of one of the research paper that I've published recently. Okay. So, but I wanted to have a eye captivating title of this research paper. Okay. But then again, depends upon the kind of input that I'm giving. And in this case, I'm giving my abstract as the input. Now, an ideal abstract should have a problem statement, should have an introduction, a problem statement, should have the data methodology, should have some of the major research findings of the paper and the implications. So all these five aspects should be there in the input. So which my abstract had. Okay. Now I wanted to have a fancy eye captivating title for the editors not to disreject my paper. So can you suggest some interesting titles based on different themes of the abstract given above? Okay, and see the kind of abstract, the ideas it has given for the title. If I want to focus on the FDI GDP nexus, then does FDI always drive growth? Evidence from the G20 economies, untangling the FDI GDP puzzle, the role of ICT development in G20 nations, beyond capital flows, rethinking FDI's growth impact through ICT maturity. If I want to focus on the theme two, that is ICT as a moderator, when FDI meets ICT, unveiling the hidden dynamics of growth in G20 nations. Digital highways of growth, ICT's role in shaping the FDI GDP relationship. And if I want to focus on policy development angle, then it has different suggestions. If I want to focus on the methodological emphasis, it has different suggestions. And similarly, if I do not like, I can further ask it to modify. Okay, and there's again nothing unethical because the input is unique. Okay, I haven't copy pasted my abstract from anywhere, so there's no problem with that. So that's how you can ask ChatGPT, okay, to help you with the research also. Now, all this also prompt us to use ChatGPT for writing, but that's the kind of a caveat that I always put. Never use ChatGPT or any generative AI tools as writing substitutes. There is no shortcut to no substitute for the kind of contextual flow that you as an academician can bring to the table, and there is no replacement of the researcher's acumen. Chat gpt will have fancy adjectives and adverbs. Okay, it will have very flowery language, but the contextual, the storyline will still be missing from that, and that is something that you only as an academician can bring to the table. Okay, there's no substitute for it. This can be the scenario that we are not native English speakers, so our language might not be as refined as these generative AI tools. But again, the contextual flow matters. the storyline matters. Okay, so these tools can be used for maybe refining our language, giving it a better structure, but never as substitute to our writing style or our writing. So these should never be used as writing assistants. Okay, there are many aspects to it. First, it is not ethical. Okay, second, a lot of reputed publishers, including Emerald, including Sage, including Taylor and Francis, they have started coming out with their own guidelines that you cannot use chat gpt as one of the co-authors. You cannot use AI generated text in your research manuscripts. Okay, and third, there are software that can catch you even if there are no guidelines in some of the reputed journals. But then there are there are software which just say plagiarism ka hota hai, that there is a threshold of 10% for the research papers and 15% for the book chapters. Similarly, now there are software. For example, I know that Turnitin has a special feature, special edition, wherein if your manuscript or any document that you upload for checking the plagiarism, if it has more than 20% AI generated text, it is going to red flag your document. And also, in today's digital era, everything that we do, even if it is a LinkedIn post, even if it is a blog article or your own blog that you're writing, but you're using ChatGPT written text, AI generated text, then that is going to have a digital footprint. Uh, Even DOI numbers. And I will, just I can refer you to Research Watchdog. I'm sure a lot of you might be on LinkedIn, which is kind of a Facebook for academicians. So there's a think tank, self-declared think tank, a Research Watchdog. They unravel the different uh, you know we can say frauds that are going in the academic domain, and they have done a lot of research on how there are authors who are in the Stanford's top 2% list of researchers in their domain, and their papers have been retracted after a year. There are instances where same author has copy pasted the data, the analysis, the tables, the results from some other paper previously published, only change the language, only change the article, the title, change the language. But their articles, they have been caught, because everything that we do today, everything that we write, we publish, has got a digital footprint. हो सकता है आज आप नहीं पकड़े जाओ, but कल को maybe during your promotions, AI generated, there are better tools than after say 5 years, but anything that you publish in your name in today in the public domain is going to have a digital footprint. And lastly, we are the torchbearers of academic integrity. Yeah, so the onus, the burden of passing it on to the next generations who are our students, that why it is unethical to use these tools in most of the scenarios, is on us. Yeah, for example, I give my students an assignment which is 70 marks of worth. 70 marks of worth is like 50% of their weightage, depends upon the term paper. Okay, hoping and kind of mentoring them for the entire semester. Okay, and then all it takes for them is to just write one single prompt on ChatGPT and they will have ideas. And I'll give you another example. I was co-editing this book by Taylor and Francis, which has recently been published also. So we call for abstracts for the book chapters. And of the selected book chapters, there were 35 abstracts that aligned with our book. So moving forward, we invited the call for full book chapter submissions, and there were around 7 to 8 book chapters where I could sense that there was something fishy about the literature review section. Okay, so on further investigation, further inspection, I thought, why not let's go to their references section and let's see because I, as a matter of fact, knew that ChatGPT generates a lot of fictitious citations. Okay, so I went to this references section. I copy pasted their DOI number. Okay, DOI is like a Aadhaar card for the research papers. For example, two of us cannot have the same Aadhaar card. Similarly, any two research paper cannot have the same DOI number, data object identifier number. Okay, so I went to the Google, I typed the DOI number, I copy pasted it, and only to find that DOI did not exist. Then I thought there are some instances where DOI links start to work only after a lag of say 6 months to 1 year. So I thought let's references may there's also the volume number and issue number and the author's name. So I thought let's visit the journal's website, let's visit the relevant volume and the issue, only to find out that none of the papers that were there in that particular volume and issue number, none of the papers were written by the author that was mentioned by the text of that particular author, or uh, or any paper with the same title. Okay, then I figured out that all the references in the literature review were fictitious references. So again, even if I would have missed on that point, they would have been caught at the publication stage when it was with the editor. So these things have kind of knack to get back to you at some point of time. So we need to teach our students also how to use them as assisting in bettering themselves, but not as the substitute. We do not want them to kill their critical thinking and ask ChatGPT to do that for them. Yeah. So that's the burden is on us. So that is why there I always say that 70 to 80% of your time in any research project should be spent on reading, on literature part, on reviewing the literature. Okay. Because every answer is there in the literature. What are the research gaps, what are your objectives going to be, what proxy variables you are going to use, what methodology you are going to have. Yeah. And when you get your results, when you do the analysis, what if your results are not kind of in contrast to the previous studies, then what could be the plausible reasons behind that. Yeah, every answer is there in the literature, so there is no shortcut to it. However, there are better tools. Instead of asking ChatGPT to again garbage in garbage out, ऐसा नहीं है ChatGPT कर नहीं देगा. If I ask ChatGPT write a literature review on this topic for me in 1,000 words, obviously it is going to give me an output. पर उसमें कितना contextual flow होगा, the kind of novelty that it is going to have, there's no short guarantee for that. Okay, and that is what research is about: adding novelty, adding to the existing literature, existing theory. That's what we researchers do. Yeah, so there is no shortcut to literature review, but there are tools which would help us better comprehend the literature, better comprehend the text, and also save us a lot of time. We will be discussing some of those tools. Okay, and obviously so yeah, that's one another use case. Moving on. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, typical noting and drafting. Okay, so I might not be good at drafting notices, drafting emails, writing thank you or acknowledgement mails. And again, these are non-academic activities, right? So I can obviously, I'll just take another example, which is also research based, but then can be applied to numerous situations. So let's say, let's take an example. I have submitted a manuscript to a journal, say 15, 16 months back, which has been now more than 1.5 years. And I have not got the review result of even round one. And 1.5 years is good enough time. It's a pretty long time for not getting even the first round review result. And some of the studies, some of the research that we do is also time sensitive because our data gets old. There's so much happening around in the time series data these days. Yeah, geopolitical risk hai, events ho jate hain itne sare. So there's been no response, and I've also sent multiple say communication to the editor. So, but there hasn't been a response. Now I want to write a mail which is a bit, blunt, but also subtle because I am writing to the editor. He might outrightly reject my paper. That is not what I want, and especially after 1.5 years of already time lapsed. So let's see how ChatGPT can help us in drafting that mail. Okay. Again, I'm not saying that ChatGPT is going to give me the perfect drafted mail, which it is going to, by the way, but even then I will have some base to work upon. It will provide me a structure, it will save me a lot of time, and maybe I can invest the time in research and my teaching activities. Yeah, so let's see what kind of prompt would work. So whatever I've said, I'll just write it as a prompt. Okay, I want to write a mail regarding status inquiry of my manuscript that I submitted 18 months ago, and there has not been even round one review result communicated to me. This is not my first reminder mail. Let me also define the tone of the mail. I want to thrust upon the long time lapse and how this paper important to me, but be subtle and professional at the same time. Now, because I know ChatGPT भी large language model है. So whatever input that I give to ChatGPT, it kind of takes it into learning base. It is also learning while it is doing its job. So I don't want to specify the manuscript ID होती है जब भी हम submit करते हैं. I don't want to specify the title of my paper. I don't want to specify uh, the journal's name or the editor's name. I'm just specifying that this is a manuscript, this is the case. I want to draft a mail. Okay. I'm just trying to be a bit smart and hide the information. Now, ChatGPT is smart enough. As you can see, it is drafting the mail for me. So wherever it will want, ChatGPT को पता है जब भी हम कोई status inquiry के लिए mail करेंगे to the editors, to the journals, we would always want to quote the manuscript ID. So whatever information that I'm not providing to ChatGPT, but it ought to be the part of the mail or the correspondence that I'm going to send, it will ask me to furnish that in square brackets. आप देख पा रहे हो यहाँ पर? It has asked use square brackets. So status inquiry regarding manuscript ID, dear, again, square brackets, you can see editor's name. And let's read out the mail it has drafted for us. I hope this message finds you well. I'm writing to kindly follow up on the status of my manuscript titled, again, square brackets, title of your paper, submitted on submission date, manuscript ID. It has now been 18 months since the submission and I have not yet received the outcome. So I'm getting straight to the point. Yeah. It has been now 18 months since the submission and I have not yet received the outcome of the first review round. I had earlier written to inquire about its progress, but I understand the journal receives a large number of submission and the review process can be time consuming. However, given the considerable time that has elapsed, I would be deeply grateful if you could kindly. So this is known as the sandwich technique. I want to sandwich one negative tone between two positives. Yeah. So I'm saying that it has now been 18 months. I had written to inquire, but I understand that the journal received. So I'm also kind of acknowledging that there might be a reason behind not having the round one review results, right? So, however, then again, I'm saying, given the considerable time that has lapsed, I would be deeply grateful if you could kindly update me on the current status of the review process. This paper is of great personal significance. So and so, thank you. So, okay, so that's given me. Now, for example, I'm still not satisfied. I want to be more straightforward and focus on receiving the reply, or at least by when I can, at least a timeline by when I can expect a reply. Okay, it will revise. If I find this is too derogatory, so even I can ask it to tone it down a bit. Yeah? So that what it does. Okay, now you can see it has accordingly changed. I fully understand the pressure associated with managing the review process, but the prolonged delay is causing considerable difficulty in planning my future research work. May I kindly request that you provide me an update on the current status of my manuscript, or at the very least, a timeline by which I can expect to receive the initial review decision. I would be grateful. Sincerely, again, square brackets, your name, your affiliation, your contact information. Okay, but manuscript ID is again there. Okay, so again, this can be applied to numerous situations, numerous cases where you can ask ChatGPT to help you draft a mail, to help you draft an acknowledgement mail for a project proposal that just got accepted. Okay, so all these, again, this is for saving you time. I don't want to put my energy and my sources and my time into kind of proofreading whether this is sounding right or not, whether this is professional sounding or not. Yes, in a way, I'm also killing my writing skills by this, but then these tools are out there. I am not going to use, but my peers are definitely using it right now. my students are also using it. So let's also kind of get acquainted as to how and in what ways, still being ethical, I can use these tools to make my life easier, to make my teaching better, to make my research better. Okay, that's the whole idea of these FDPs also that are being organized to acquaint you with all these tools. Now, I cannot assure you that I can walk you through all the kind of prompts, all the type of prompts, or all the type of applications that are there, AI tools are there in the market. Yeah, but the whole idea is just to acquaint you what these tools can do for you. Okay, so moving on. Another example I can give you for data. Okay, let me just go through the chat once if there's anything. Okay, okay. No, no questions so far. Let's say, um, uh, okay. So like Ankit ji had introduced me when the session began. So does we also adapt this practice of introducing the participants to the speakers, or more often when we organize programs, some of the speakers ask what are the profiles, what is the composition of the participants that you have. Okay, so now I'm somebody who do not know how to analyze the Excel, and for those of you who use Excel a lot, you know that this could be done in Excel sheet. We can use pivot tables, pivot function, and we will be able to extract how many participants are there from each state, how many participants are males, how many participants are females, or category wise distribution of the participants, or how many participating universities are there, how many participating states are there. So all these sorts of questions can be sorted using pivot table. But then I'm somebody who doesn't know Excel, and I do not have any interest in learning Excel. So let's see how we can, ask ChatGPT to help us out in that scenario. Okay, I let me just upload any sheet. First, let me try and see if there are many participants or not. Mhm. 746. Okay, let's use this one. Let's upload from the downloads. So I've uploaded our participants. We are also organizing one program wherein some 100 participants have registered. Now I want it to prepare a summary of the participants profile. Okay, so can you provide list of universities, list of states कर लेते हैं. List of states from where participants have registered. But again, it is going to take some time to analyze the Excel sheet. It will not be as fluent as it is with the text, but let's just see what it does. It is still taking time. Okay, let's address a question in the meanwhile. Pushplata ji has asked, sir, my question is, do you see AI becoming a creator of curriculum design in the future? Absolutely, ma'am. Uh, Again, this also depends upon how we are using these AI, tools to better our curriculum and so. So, in fact, not just the future, a lot of add-on courses are being planned and being designed on the basis of the AI suggestions and AI recommendations. Okay. Okay. So now we can see I've got the response. These are the participants profile. From Haryana, we have 25. From UP, we have 17 participants. So there are participants from 6 states. Similarly, I can also do Can you also provide me the list of universities? I definitely, Dr. Thanapakyam, creativity and critical thinking is getting affected. But then at the same time, let's also think about the pros that it has to offer. Now the critical thinking comes into the scenario. How do I, again, modern problem requires modern solution. So how do I make, for example, assessment has become one such. I cannot give my students an open book exam anymore. Yeah. So, but that is why I have to think of modern ways to take feedback, to take assignments, to take assessment. Ideally, what was the object? I'll tell you another scenario. So we used to give written assignments to our students with the understanding, with the objective, even if they copy paste from their peers, at least they will be writing with their own hands, right? And in that process, they will at least be able to retain 10% of whatever they would be copying and writing. Yeah, that was our whole objective. And specifically for the papers in the management stream, in the commerce stream, which involved numericals, for example, financial management, security analysis and portfolio management, or statistics for that matter. So this used to be our whole objective, whole idea about giving the written assignments to our students besides the regular tests that we used to keep. Yeah, but now students are so smart, and also the availability, the access of these applications. Now they will, whatever question I give them from, say, any textbook which has not been recommended to their syllabus, okay, that's one effort that we teachers have to put. So, or say I make up my own questions, they will put up the questions in the chat GPT, ask for the solution. Now, okay, that is also fine, provided they copy paste it with their own handwriting. But then there are tools, there are AI tools which will convert a computer written text into a handwritten text. So now they do not even want to write with their own hands. Okay. And since, to save a lot of paper, we have started just asking them to kind of upload the PDFs of their assignments. Yeah. So now they're uploading the PDF of the answers which have been generated by chat GPT, and then went on to some other application, other AI tool, which kind of converted into a handwritten assignment. So that is the challenge. So that's not the scenario that critical thinking is going to get impacted. So again, it is about your own perspective. How do we take these challenges? Again, teaching has always been a challenging job. It is always going to be, and all the more so because of the advent of the AI tools. Yeah. Moving on. Okay. Okay, so we can see we asked ChatGPT to generate the list of universities, and we can see we have the universities also. There are 30, 40, 52 universities from where these 135 participants have registered. Okay, and simple analytical questions can also be asked. Can you look at the data? Help me summarize the data. That can also be done. I'll give you another example. So I was teaching this paper of R software for business analytics, and we had to use R software. Now, preparing for a software class was a tad bit challenging because I also need to write the code, and I also need to have the R script. So I'll just open R Studio also. So those of you know how R Studio works. So we have we can keep the notes ready. So for preparing for 1 hour class, it used to take a lot of time in preparing the codes for that particular class. Can you see the Art Studio? Okay, let it be then. Let me go back to the R screens. How do I close this? Okay. So let's say I want to, how I can take help for preparing the teaching aids or teaching material also. I want to teach the concept of linear regression to my undergrad students on our software. To my undergrad students, can you help me create script for our studio with help comments using double hash at the relevant place. Okay. Now I know how to teach, how to work on R, but I also wanted the creating this script used to take a lot of time because I have to manually write down everything on the R Studio. आपको ये जो you can see on the screen. So all these hashtags are the comments, and these without the hashtags are the commands which I will just now have to control enter press in the R Studio and the command would be run. Now you can see the entire script for the entire concept, which used to take me an hour to write, now has been generated with just one prompt. Obviously I can I mean I will have again a base to work with. I can obviously go and edit this. I can just copy paste it. You can see I can copy paste it from here. You can see copied, and I can just go back to our software, our studio, and copy it there. And then I can also then I can also edit the script there. Okay, if there's another concept that I want to bring in, if there's another data set that I want, I can do that. But at least I have the baseline material with me. So, and this is true for any software. For those of you who are working with geographical, there's geospatial data, then you can ask R to code that for you. If you're doing any research, you're not figuring out, because for example, I'll tell you what I used to apply time series data when I was doing my PhD, but there was a lot of problem, and I've learned the art software pretty well through YouTube videos, through various FTP programs. But then your data becomes unique problem set for you. Okay, and our problem with R is that there are long codes in that. Now my PhD was not on R. My PhD was on monetary policy and financial markets. That's the core area I would have wanted to focus on. But I had to altogether give away the R software. I had to relearn another software, eViews, for implementing Garch time series models, because I could not go through one command for the model. Everything was set, but except for one command. I went to YouTube, search for it. I went to Stack Exchange, put up my query, but there were answers, but still the problem was not being solved. And I was not so fluent with R. But obviously back then we did not have ChatGPT to help us out. Okay, so now you can write a code yourself and you can ask ChatGPT if there's any problem. Can you identify the problem with the code? Yeah, can you help? How can you tell me how I can maybe learn more about the breakouts of this code? And this is for any software. For example, I want to say, let me give you an example. I want to apply Garch 1.1 model on eViews is another software, time series data. Can you help me stepwise process? Can you help me with the stepwise process? Open your data, launch eViews, open the work file, import your works. Okay. Visualize the time series, check for arch effects, estimate the Garch model, go to quick option, go to estimate equation, write the plain text R and C. C stands for constant. In the estimation setting, you have to click these many options. You have to interpret the output. eViews will show the mean equation, variance equation. How do you interpret? Alpha 1 refers to this, beta 1 refers to this. Then go to model diagnostic, go to check residual plots, go to view, go to result diagnostic, go to parallelogram, check arch LM test again to ensure there are no arch. Every step will be provided here. Okay, and I'm not saying that ChatGPT will always give you right, correct answers. In fact, as a matter of fact, if you give a numerical question to ChatGPT, okay, and it gives the answer in the first attempt, then you just ask ChatGPT. Now they are also, with different versions coming, they are also trying to improve the um, the exactness of these answers. Uh, but then if you question ChatGPT, are you sure your answer is correct? It will accept that it's it is mistaken. It has committed a mistake, and thanks for pointing out. And even if the answer was correct in the first attempt, it will accept that it was wrong. So, and also the case of fictitious citations that I gave. Okay, so now let's move on to the uh, some other AI tools beyond ChatGPT. Okay, so yeah, I hope my presentation is now visible. Okay, so these are already what we have discussed: title, abstract, how you can ask ChatGPT to help you identify the research gap, research question, writing a literature. So rather than asking ChatGPT to write a literature review, I can ask ChatGPT maybe when I am beginning with certain research topic, that what are the 5 important theories that I should definitely be acquainted with before I start researching on XYZ topic. I'm investing this topic. Can you give me suggest 5 recent publications which have been published between 2019 and so? Uh, so these are the kind of prompts that you can give. Now, I've been telling that there is no shortcut to literature review, but then there are tools which can help us comprehend literature in an easier and in a better way. So let's see what are those tools. Okay, I'll have to again share the different screen. Just give me a moment. Yeah, let's open one such document, chatdoc.com. Okay, let's click on get started. So chatdoc.com is like we are chatting with the PDF. Okay, so there are few options. I'll just quickly walk you through the upcoming slides since we're just left with 20 more minutes. Okay, so chatdoc.com, you can either click or drag your research paper. So it is akin to the situation wherein you read your research papers, you download the PDFs and you start reading them in Adobe PDF reader, right? So I'll just open one of the papers that are already uploaded to save ourselves some time. Okay, so this will take some time, just a few seconds, again depending upon your internet's bandwidth. Okay, now you can see, and like we scroll up and down in a PDF, we can also scroll up and down here. Okay, but besides the scrolling feature, you can see there's also this blue toggle bar that is moving with me, right? You can see this blue toggle bar that's also blinking, and that's also moving as I'm going up and down. Yeah, so let's say if there's anything that we do not understand, and this is what usually happens when we are reading literature, that when we are reading a research paper, there are certain technical terms, there are certain technical jargons, okay, which kind of then prompt us to go back to Google. We search for the term, we go for the again 10 different sources, references, 10 different links. We open those links, we again start reading. Then there are certain, so it kind of becomes a vicious cycle. Okay, and that's why there are a lot of Instagram memes, LinkedIn memes of how a Google Chrome window of a researcher looks like. There are infinite number of tabs that are open. Yeah, so let's say anything that we read here. Okay, let's say multi-stage sampling technique. Now I'm somebody who's starting with the research for the first time, and I do not know what does this term multi-stage sampling technique means. I simply select this, I click on this blue toggle bar, and on the right hand side you can see I just write, can you elaborate this with example? So anything that I do not understand, and you will see just one phrase, and you can see here the long explanation that I'm getting here. Multi-stage sampling is a complex form. Example, first stage, second stage, third stage, fourth stage sampling. And the entire page explanation of one simple term. Okay. Similarly, anything, if there's anything related to, say, methodology that you're not understanding, okay, anything that you're not understanding, any data, any point, any methodology, any model that you're not understanding, you can just simply select. For example, this process used ANOVA test. Now, I do not know what is ANOVA test. How does it function? How is it different from chi-square test or independent? Again, I can just simply ask, I'll elaborate how this is different from independent t-test. Okay. So even though there would be no comparison of ANOVA and independent t-test in this particular research paper, but I can see the explanation is here. So it is like you get to chat with the PDF, you get to chat with the research paper, and this is all free of cost. Okay, I'm not subscribed to the paid version. Okay, so that's how you can do. Another such application is explainpaper.com. Now, explainpaper.com is, again, I'm saying there might be other numerous applications also, okay? But I'm just suggesting the ones that I have. For example, this is one of the papers that I had published. And say as an OI reader, I am reading this paper, okay? And you can see that you can highlight text to have our AI explain it on the right-hand side. You can scroll up and down. So for example, let's go to the methodology part of this. So say time varying parameter TVP VAR models. I don't understand what is this. Explain paper has another additional feature that you can customize the level of your explanation. Do you want an expert level explanation? Do you want a graduate level explanation? Do you want an undergraduate level or a high schooler? So say for somebody who's reading the paper for the first time, I want to have very simple explanation for this. I just click on explain. Again, you can see the explanation is there, and also you can ask a follow-up question. So all these applications help us better kind of save a lot of time going back and forth from different Google links. Yeah, all our answers can be there. And sometimes if there's something that is outside the ambit of the research paper, then it is going to accept that this is beyond the scope of the current study. So maybe you can refer to the different sources. Okay, moving forward. These are some other applications that you can try your hands on. Okay. For summarizing paper, again, I do not recommend using ChatGPT and these tools, but there's this wonderful tool which helps you, which gives you a sense of how things could work. And one such tool is SciSpace. Okay. So say, for example, I want to search on climate finance and AI. Okay. I just give them the phrase, and let's see how it can help us summarize the papers. Before that, I would also want to show you an Excel sheet. Yeah. Okay. So when we are reviewing literature, so we are absorbing a lot of information, right? So, and it really becomes difficult to summarize all that. And that is what is the most difficult part of reviewing literature, that we need to summarize, we need to identify the research gaps. Okay. So this is what I used to follow before obviously these AI tools were available. That I used to have an Excel sheet wherein for every paper I used to have a dedicated row which will have a few defined columns for empirical model. What was the dependent variable in that study? What was the independent variable in that study? What are the conclusion in my own language? And I also used to have an elaborative sheet for that. For every paper that I read, there will be independent variable, conclusion, journal number, if there's any special remark, the DOI number. But this used to be a time consuming, although it gave me a kind of a bird's eye view or a snapshot view of how, I mean, basically I was able to figure out what is it that is missing in the previous papers that I've read so far. Okay. But then this used to be really time consuming. Okay, so now let's see how SciSpace can help us out in that. Okay, so it gives answer in two parts. Since I do not go by the summary that's provided by the AI tools for literature, so I'm more concerned with the second half of the part. So you can see it is showing for now 10 papers out of the 100 papers on the topic. And unlike ChatGPT, all the papers have hyperlinks. I can click on these papers. I have the DOI links of these papers also readily available. And you can see there are 10 papers. I can then move on to load more papers. And like my Excel sheet that I used to manually make, I can see that there are columns, insights, findings, method used, limitations, and then there's an option of adding a column also. And like I had columns for dependent variable, independent variable, problem statement, sample, data set, challenges, application, all these columns can be added. Okay. And the best part that this can be exported as a CSV file. Okay. So this will help you provide a snapshot view. Another such tool is Lit Maps. If you can try your hands on, it kind of gives you view of how different citation, how different papers are interrelated, having cross-cited with each other. I'll just give you an example of, say, financial inclusion. It's already made. Maybe you can explore. So you will get to know that this Kunt 2018 paper is one such paper which has been cited by most of the studies which are recently being published. So you would know that this is one important study that is being cited by all the papers which have been published after. Okay, and obviously you can increase the sample size to include more papers on the topics, and this will kind of give me a network of these type. For example, I can click on climate finance. Yeah, so you can see how I've just included 5 papers, but it kind of shows that how all these papers are in different direction, but they are being cited or are citing the same common study. Okay, now you can see the network here. So it gives how different papers are cross connected with each other. So this gives you a view. What are the important papers that you should definitely read? What are the papers, which are the papers which have definitely targeted a different area? So that's one tool. Okay, these are some other tools. No, I'm speaking. These are some other tools. Like you can chat with data. These are the prompts that I've included in the presentation. I'm sure this presentation will be shared by the organizers. There are alternative also. PowerDrill.ai is there. There is Quiver. There's Julius. Uh, Citation. I'll cover some other day. There's one more wonderful tool that I am for helping us out with the PowerPoint presentations. Okay. Let me just take an example. Yeah, the application is Gamma. Let me open another window. Just give me a minute. Gamma.ai is the application. Gamma.app होगा. Yeah. So if we are somebody who's required to have PowerPoint presentations and a lot of PowerPoint presentations, but we have the content well ready, well read, but I'm somebody who's not good with the PowerPoint presentations, then Gamma is one such tools. Okay, and I'll just give you an example. There are different options here. You can create a PowerPoint from scratch. You can create from blank, or you can also import your documents. If you have your own notes in PDF format or as a URL link and you want to convert that into a PowerPoint, which is professionally made, which has the right amount of text in it, then you can use. But since we have, because of the paucity of time, I'll just demonstrate one example where I can create PowerPoint using just a one single line prompt. Okay, so I click on generate. Again, there are different options. I can paste in the text, I can import a file or a URL, but let's go for generate. Okay, for example, now I want to make a presentation. Let's again go by say AI and let's say managerial education. Okay, let's try to create a PowerPoint. Okay, then I just write down the topic of the presentation. I create a on generate outline. Okay, now you can see that outline is being created slide wise. AI and managerial education, the AI revolution in education, why AI matters, AI powered personalized learning for managers, enhancing. I just have got 10 cards. Let's go to some other website. Let me go. Let me log into a different account. Let me share the screen again. Continue with Google. Okay, I'll just create on randomly select anything for now. Okay, let's create on generate. Let's type our topic. Let's create on generate outline. Okay, so by default, the freer version allows only for a maximum of 10 slides, which are known as 10 cards on this application. And now you can see how it has generated an outline. And this is also editable. For example, I do not want this slide, or I want an additional pointer in this slide. I can, yeah, I can add anything. I can edit anything. You can see I can write anything else also here. I can remove the pointer from this. Okay. So again, since I'm short of time, I'm just going by whatever it is recommending. Otherwise, we can edit all these slides. Okay. Then we can also specify, do we want minimal text on the slides? Do we want concise, or do we want it to be a detailed academic presentation, or an extensive one which has a lot of text? Okay. And then there are different themes also. For example, I want to go by cornflower, borealis, dune. There are different themes also. Let's go by the cornflower. I want to use AI images so that there are no copyright or patent issues. Okay, and then I just create on, and there are these 400 credits that you get for free in a month. Okay, let's create on generate. Again, there are options to provide your own content. Okay, you can upload your own notes on PDFs, or you can also recommend certain URLs. And now we can see how our PowerPoint presentation is being made. And this is for somebody who is not well versed with, professionally aligning text and images over the slides. Let us let it do its job, and then we'll revisit how the slides are being made. Okay, now it is done. Okay, now we can. Okay, now we can see. Now we can see how our slides are made. And again, everything is editable. For example, I want to change, I want to delete something, I want to add a point, I can add a point here, I can add another box, and I can see how professionally aligned everything is. Why managerial education must evolve. There are different slides. Again, I can add a fourth point also to this slide. Yeah, there are different images. I can again add further sub points if I want. I can delete the points. AI's role, ethical AI principles, continuous, a call to action for business schools and educators, invest in infrastructure, develop ethical policies, foster human centricity, and the last slide. And another wonderful feature is that you can export it as a PowerPoint also. So for example, I have to take another same presentation after 6 months, after 1 year, but I want to add on to the content that has been recently added. I can add it to my PowerPoint. I can keep this in my record. It will take some time to export. Once it's exported, you can download it, and we'll also see the downloadable version. And again, everything is editable even now. I can add my name, I can add a smart art, I can do anything that I want to. For example, my name was not added, I can add my name. Okay, everything is editable even now. You can see, and I can keep it saved. Any pointer that I want to add or delete, everything is possible. So wonderful tool to save you a lot of time in creating professional deck or professional presentations, both from scratch, from one line prompt, or even if from say, yeah, Gamma is free only up to certain credit. But if you're somebody who has to prepare, say, presentation for your entire syllabus, then maybe subscribe for 1 month and be done with your presentation, and then again unsubscribe it. What can be done to continue its use? Dr. Rajni, one smart way can be that, for example, I was just using Gamma from my official email ID, but only I had only 10 coins left. Then I had multiple email IDs, so I just subscribed to another one. So that could be done, but again, the flow and everything gets disturbed. But yeah, if you are somebody who uses Gamma for a lot of ways, and for a lot of presentation making, then you can obviously subscribe for just maybe 1 month, and later on unsubscribe it once you are done with your job. For presentations, yeah, Canva is there, but again, it is very time consuming. I'll just showcase you an example of Canva also. Let me give you. Yeah. For example, at our center, we have a UGC MMC center. So we create all the brochures, all the posters on Canva only. Again, there are wonderful ready-made templates are there. For example, this is a recent conference that's starting tomorrow. We made the brochure on this. It is like similar to working on a Word document, but it has these ready-made templates where you can see the nitty-gritties. So Canva is a wonderful tool for it. Also creates presentation also. If you go to the home page, you can also find out that you can create wonderful presentation, but it is then time consuming, and it makes a way, say, one level up professional PowerPoint presentations. Again, there are some templates which are free of cost, and there are some templates for which you will have to pay, but these are like one-time payment for the templates only. Yeah. So yeah, that would be all from my end. These are some additional bonus tools that you can use. Yeah, for AI detection, again, I always recommend this. Then never upload your unpublished work on any free tool that would check your plagiarism or AI written generated text for free. Okay. Uh, there are websites which take these input documents as it's in its database, and it permanently saves them. So once you, and then you go and check to the authentic sources, then it is going to show 100% plagiarized or 100% AI detected text. So yeah, don't go for these. Only go for the ones which your university has subscribed to. For example, Urkund is there, then Turnitin software is there. So go by that. Okay. So yeah, that would be all from my end. Thank you so much. Thank you for being so engaging. And how can managers ensure transparency and accountability when AI driven decisions go wrong? Uh, Yeah, so Dr. Valia Farheen has asked this question. How can managers ensure transparency and accountability when AI-driven decisions go wrong? Obviously, when we are incorporating AI in every aspect of our lives, the onus is still on you as a manager. The you can like, how does a manager, how is a manager supposed to kind of response in a situation when a decision by one of the subordinates is taken and it goes wrong? Again, the accountability rests with the position. So the same is with the AI. Just because we are using AI in our decision making, in our teaching aids, and we give a disclaimer that this has been done using AI tools, that does not let us as managers, as academicians, as teachers, as researchers shed away with the responsibility of not giving the authentic information. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Can we get your PPT for reference? Yeah, I think I've shared this one with the organizers. They will definitely share with you. I do not have any problem. I'll request the organizers to share.
Sure, sir. Thank you, Dr. Yadav, for your insightful and thought-provoking session. Your example of how AI is reshaping managerial education is highly relevant and practical. We are grateful for your time, effort, and expertise you have shared with us today. I am especially thankful to you, sir, for taking out the time to be with us today, even while occupied with your important event tomorrow. Thank you once again, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ankit, and thanks to all the participants for being such an engaging audience. And I'm so glad to receive the feedback. Thank you so much. With your permission, I will take your leave.
Wait a minute, sir, for a group photograph.
Sure, sure, sure. Please, yeah.
Participants, please open your video for a group photograph. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a very good night.
Now I invite Ms. Bhavna Chauhan for giving vote of thanks for her day.
On behalf of the organizing committee, I, Bhavna Chauhan, extend our heartfelt thanks to Dr. Prerna Sethia and Dr. Ashutosh Yadav for their highly insightful sessions. Dr. Sethia's perspectives on the ethical dimensions of AI in education and Dr. Yadav's insights on its use cases in managerial learning have truly enriched our understanding. I would also extend my gratitude to our coordinator and co-coordinator for their constant guidance and to the organizing team for their tireless efforts behind the scenes in ensuring the smooth conduct of this event. Most importantly, a big thank you to all our participants for your active involvement, questions, and the continued enthusiasm which make these sessions truly meaningful. Thank you all. You can leave the meeting now.